running from Mizen to Malin. What's the worst that could possibly happen? It's season 4.
Episode 4.
Let's go!
And so it begins. I honestly didn't think the guys would get this far. Anyway, onward with the plan.
Here we are, our first time back since the 3-part launch of Season 4. So, guys, it's been how long since we recorded the last episode?
It's what you said, about 2 months?
Roughly.
Yeah. And I think we're all on the same page now. There's no reveals. There's no, well, unless you're telling me something, you're going to tell me something I don't know. No more reveals. We're all on the same, at the same level as the listeners now. So there's no secrets here. Am I right or am I wrong?
Maybe not intentional secrets. So I will say Colin and I have done a bit of messaging kind of on the side about logistical things, planning, things of that nature. To some extent, we've informed Andrew of some of those things. Here's the thing. I'm like type A, like gotta schedule everything, gotta plan everything. So for me to just kind of like sit back and hope it all comes together is not likely to happen. Colin, what about you? Like how do you put yourself?
Hang on, Matt. Have you listened to the show?
Yeah, I know. I'm really trying to adapt. I'm pretty good with this, like on the fly, other than open podcast episode. Like I can freestyle a little bit. Like we had a plan for today's episode, which was show up. I did that late, so I'm already failing, which is great. This is good practice.
And then I've got something for you, Matt. Can you see that?
Keep showing up, right? So I'll keep doing that. And then the rest of the plan was, let's talk about what we know now. So, I mean, it's a plan.
It's a good plan. It's better than most of our episodes, Colin, so we'll go with that, Matt.
Yeah, but Colin, I mean, so I've created our planning document, which I don't even think we've shown the guys yet, Andrew and Nick, right? But like, describe your kind of role, thought process, all of that as it pertains to Mizen to Malin.
So, what have we been doing? I suppose is what you're saying. Well, Matt, I have been looking at the route, looking at accommodation across the route, and kind of trying to get an idea of the plan. Okay, so what I did wrong the last time, I'm trying to fix this time. So, Matt,
one of the things you did wrong.
You're here just to chirp in. You're like the voiceover guy. So, Matt, when you say, making sure everything's going to plan, everything needs to be running perfectly, you can be rest assured that it's in good hands with me. Because, Andrew, with me, anything goes. Isn't that right? I'll fix anything. I'll plan everything down to the finest detail.
That's right. And you've got some exciting news and accommodation just today, Colin. Do you want to tell the listeners about that?
So this is kind of like a weird roundabout, like another link with myself and Matt.
Before we get to that, if it's okay, I'd like to like step back real quick and maybe let everybody in on like the greater purpose behind the run, because that even relates to like accommodations, some of the other things that we might share with the audience too, right? Like, at the end of the day, we have said that this is about a couple of guys who have gotten to know each other, mostly virtually. I mean, I don't know if that's true for Colin and Andrew. You guys probably knew each other, beyond virtually, right? And Nick, you've actually high-fived the guys and seen them in person a few times.
Well, did they high-five me or which way around was it?
And I wanted to high-five the race leader. I was trying to get some race leader energy, which you got.
And Colin, as I understand, really holds back on the high fives. Like he doesn't just dish those out to anybody. You've got to earn them. Maybe he didn't feel you had earned it, Nick.
Well, maybe it's like a Paul Hollywood handshake. Now that might not mean anything to you, Matt, but any fans of Bake Off that are listening would know what that means. So a Colin high five is a bit like a Paul Hollywood handshake. Tough to come by, but it means something when you get it.
real quick on that, just so the audience is aware, because obviously I don't get all these cultural references, and there are some language differences. So I am building a custom GPT that is my UK Irish translator. So I'll be able to mostly communicate with you guys while we're there.
Yes, I did send you a nice translator, and you know what? I think by the end of Mizen Malin, Matt, you will be fluent in a language.
A language that you didn't know existed.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even call it Irish because it's Irish and Northern Irish and UK-ish and English. And I think we'll have a bit of everything, Matt. We'll have a bit of everything here.
Okay. So stepping back, though, as we said we would do first before getting into accommodations. So we have what we would call maybe a broader purpose outside of these guys just getting together to run across an entire country. And that is to raise awareness and raise funds for MS-related causes. So most of the audience may recall, unless this is your first time listening to the podcast, that both Colin and I met through a shared diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. So we said, hey, if we're taking on this big challenge, let's do it for a good reason, a good purpose, and try and inspire some people along the way and make a difference if we can. And so we're doing this to support 3 different charities also, all related to multiple sclerosis. And Colin, do you want to say what we're calling the run? Yes, it's Mizen to Malin, but we've come up with a really creative name for this run, right?
Yeah, really, really creative, short and sweet and to the point. So it's now, whenever we talk about this, it's called MS Runs Ireland. Does exactly what it says in the tin, Matt.
Did you use Chat GPT for that one?
Matt, I actually did.
You did not, did you? I thought you and Matt went into a room, spent an hour online, just brainstorming, came up with that. So you actually Chat GPT'd it.
Can I just sort of step in here and you bandy around this, you're using the term MS, and we would know that maybe as multiple sclerosis, and so a lot of people for a lot of decades that has been a very, very scary and serious illness, and I don't think we should forget here that you two guys have that, and you're going through and on continual treatment one way or another. And I was just wondering, and maybe this is worth expanding it in, expanding on in a different podcast, but maybe you could give us an outline of just how that can actually affect your running. Because not only are you attempting something incredibly difficult, but you are also, both of you, not you, Andrew, you haven't got an excuse, you are dealing with, a serious condition. So maybe just give listeners and viewers an outline as to how that affects your training and your running in general.
I'll start by saying thank you, Nick, because Colin and I were recently chatting about we should have a couple of themes for certain episodes. So I'd say we'll make that an entire episode, but let's do the short version right now, because I think it would be really helpful to again, part of our mission really is raising awareness. And so this gives us a great way to do that. But just the short version for me personally is I get all kinds of weird symptoms, we'll say, especially the more active I am, the less sleep I get, or if I haven't rested well or fueled properly. Inflammation within the body can trigger a lot of MS related symptoms. And for me, those are weakness, imbalance, dizziness. I get blurred vision. I get my foot starts to drag a little bit. That's called drop foot. Luckily, these things don't happen every single time I run. And often they're not to the extent where it is a severe issue for me. So I'm able to kind of push through it. Those are the physical issues. And then I do sometimes have what we would call cognitive issues too. So that's trouble processing information or words or finding the right word. And again, even while running, especially on long runs, what you may find is that I start to speak much more slowly or have slurred speech. And so sometimes you never know what you're going to get when running with Matt.
Yeah, and do you find, Matt, that it's actually sometimes a bit difficult to know, are you just really, really tired, or is this a neurological symptom related to MS? I mean, does it play on your mind that, is this a symptom or is this just me being tired? Do you get that, conflict in your mind with these things?
I don't want to speak for everyone with MS, but Colin, maybe you can speak to this also. I'll say a very common struggle for many people with MS is this MS or something else? And, Colin, would you say that's something else you've seen, experienced yourself, or, heard others with MS talk about?
I suppose I'm in a different bracket to Matt, whereas I don't feel MS physically affects me that much. But early when I was diagnosed, everything was MS. I coughed, it was MS. I sniffled, it was an MS. I woke up and I was tired, it was MS. So as time's gone on, and I think it's my nature, whereas Matt would be basically processing everything, going, what's this? I'm thinking about this. Could it be this? Could it be that? Idiot over here sticks his head in the sand and runs on through it. So yes, there is the whole brain fog thing, and you just find ways around that, Nick. And yes, for me, it'd be more emotional. So for example, you could have burst in tears over something so trivial that you wouldn't even believe that's happening. So where Matt might be a bit more physical, with me, I think it's a bit more mental. And I suppose it kind of makes sense because, I am a wee bit mental. Is it MS, or is it just after I was diagnosed that my emotional state completely changed? I don't know. But with myself and Matt, we're both on the same drugs. We're both on Ocrevus. That's quite a high efficacy drug. So it's not for people whose disease isn't progressing. It's for people whose disease is quite active. Wouldn't I be right in saying that, Matt? Stop me if I'm wrong. Yeah, typically, yeah. So you would go into hospital every 6 months. You get a drip put in your arm, and then you get an MRI every 6 months in between. Well, that's the way we work over here. So yeah, I suppose you go out for a run, you wake up tired, and you're dragging yourself across the pavement, Nick, and it can be a play in your head going, is this MS related, or am I just tired? So if that kind of answers your question in a weird, wonderful way.
We're going to get people in the audience thinking, man, I've done some long runs. Maybe I have MS. Yeah, but I love the idea of coming back to that in an episode to really kind of deep dive that.
I think we need to expand on it for sure, because we could be here for hours talking about this. Because it's as the coach, is something that I am moderately concerned about, in terms of trying to manage, the training load and things like that maybe you guys are going to be going through, as to whether that's going to flare something up or cause issues. But, we can have a chat once, have a chat about that on, as you say, on a more deep dive podcast. But, and I just thought it was important at this stage, with us all here on the same page and the same timeline, to kind of get that out there, to say that, there is as you talked about, the higher purpose, Matt, but also the fact that, it is something that we need to consider as a factor in this whole process.
Now, we also talked about considering, can I call it the Andrew factor? Right? Where Andrew, because we talked about you for a good 20 minutes after you left the last episode.
I noticed, Matt, I did tune into that episode. I did notice my name was mentioned on a few occasions.
At least a couple of times. So I'm going to call the Andrew factor this reputation that maybe you've created for yourself, that you've established a no-plan, a training plan that consists of more rest days than training days. And so I'd love to hear, this episode is about like what's happened since 2 months ago. What do we know now about, the run, and what's been happening with you? Are you in this no plan? Are you in rest day mode? What's going on?
Well, where to start? First of all, just tying it back to the MS, isn't it amazing, Nick, that when you were thinking about this whole run, it wasn't the two guys with the MS. That was not the issue of this massive challenge. It's the quote-unquote I don't know. I don't know how to finish that quote actually, but it was me that was your big concern. It wasn't Matt. It wasn't Colin. It was all me. And I was like, I just found it hilarious. I'm completely right, which just shows you just how inspirational you two guys are, that nearly, you know, you put the MS to the side and you keep on going. So I can't, it's going to be an honour to run with you two the length of Ireland. So getting back, what I'm hearing is, how's the training going?
We need to know. The people need to know.
The people have a right to know. The
people have a right to know.
On this podcast, it is everything you've said, Matt. It's fair to say that I don't know how I come across, but I really enjoyed listening to you three talk, and you're all completely 100%. Because as I stand here now, I don't even know if I call myself a runner. Not really. I just signed up for the banter. You know, I love my rest days. I sign up for events. I think I do just about enough training on most occasions to struggle through. But this is different. This is different. And I not only need training, guys, I need a protocol. And for the past 2 months, I have instigated this protocol. Now, I had a protocol for the Ireland run for the Famine Way, and it was exceptional, Colin. It was the breadcrumb trail of nice food. It was going grand.
It was a sugar cube.
The sugar cube. Really forgot about it. That's in the past now. The
It was
sugar
such a
cube
good protocol, Andrew.
was 100% success. The only failure was my knee and the lack of training, which we now know about. So this protocol is called, and I think Colin will get it. I think Nick will get it. Matt, you might be lost, but we'll explain. It's called the Ace Rimmer protocol. Matt, Colin, Nick, do you know who Ace Rimmer is? Oh yeah, he does. You, Colin. Matt, do you?
I have to bust out my custom GPT. I'm sorry.
I think has this not come up on a previous podcast? Your like of Red Dwarf.
I'm pretty sure Red Dwarf has come up in the past. It's a show I used to watch. Colin, you used to watch. We used to love it. It's a BBC sitcom, 90s kind of era. Very, very funny, or at least I thought so. There was this character called Rimmer, and he was a bit stiff. He done everything but nothing like me, right? A bit stiff, done everything by the book. He was a bit boring and but very funny. But then he had this other guy in a kind of multi-universe who maybe once a season, maybe every other season, and he was called Ace Rimmer. And the thing is, both of these people were the same people, and then Rimmer went one way and Ace Rimmer went the other. And Ace Rimmer, he's just the guy everyone wants to be. At the end of every time someone said Ace Rimmer, what would they say, Nick? Ace Rimmer.
No, come on. I can't remember.
Colin, what did he say? Ace Rimmer.
Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast.
They would say that, but more to the point, it is Ace Rimmer. What a guy. Every time, what a guy.
Yeah, we've ruined that one.
Yep. Well, by the magic of editing, I'm sure you'll keep this in, Colin. So Ace Rimmer, what a guy. So I have a decision to make. Do I go through the Rimmer path and just stay as Rest Day Andrew, not training, or do I go Ace Rimmer? What did I say in the previous podcast, the last one? All in. I'm all in, folks. I'm all in. So that's a long story to say I've been training like Ace Rimmer. So I now train. I run 5 days a week. For the past month and a half,
5 days a week.
I have been running 5 days a week.
What kind of mileage are we talking, Andrew?
Well, because of my knee, Matt, I'm building myself up quite slowly. So at the very lowest, it's 2 miles a day, and that can go up to about 7 miles a day at the minute. So I'm gently moving on up there. We're in the long game. It was 10 months now. It's 8.5 months to run. So I'm all in. And Colin, you'll know when I'm all in because it just doesn't stop at running. Do you want to hear what I'm doing? Well, before we do, what's your thoughts? Because I've seen a few shocked reactions. If you're listening, it was like everyone went back a wee bit. It was like 5 days a week. What do you think so far of the protocol and of the training commitment? And that's only half of it.
Yeah, I would say that's a very sensible approach, because if you try and do 5 days a week and do big mileage, you probably will just break again. So I think you've got it right. Just gradually build the habit. So you've already got the habit now. 5 days a week is perfect. And we'll just gradually tweak the mileage up. And then by the time we get to maybe the start of 2026, you can actually then start really adding quite a lot of volume. But if you do it too soon, you'll end up injured and you'll end up setting yourself back. So slow and steady definitely is going to win the race on this one. So sounds good to me so far.
Holy smokes, that is the biggest compliment I could have expected to get.
What I would say, Andrew, is that I back you. And I said to these two guys, I said, Andrew's never let me down, but you do love your protocols.
I
You do love your protocols. And this protocol could go one or two ways. It's either the Ace Rimmer or the Dwayne Dibley.
Oh my goodness, there's another conversation. So that's another, look at Matt's face, that's another reference. Dwayne Dibley, the king of Twinks. So he's another character in Red Dwarf. Matt, your homework is to watch Red Dwarf, or really type in Ace Rimmer to YouTube and you'll get one or two clips. One is based in Nazi Germany, which is a fantastic watch. And the other Ace Rimmer is him. It really is. Please do it. Everyone listening, YouTube, Ace Rimmer, what's the Nazi Germany one, and what's the other one? It was about 4 minutes where he's going on a space mission. So continue, Colin. Dwayne Dibley, well, he's another character.
That's another character. So look at Ace Rimmer and Dwayne Dibley, and you decide, let the viewers decide if Andrew's closer to Ace Rimmer or Dwayne Dibley.
Oh dear, this podcast is going to have a really select audience, isn't it?
Yeah.
People born between the years of 1979 and 1983 who liked irreverent British comedy.
And had access to the BBC at that time. I've already been excluded, and I'm one of the 4 members of the podcast.
But trust me, YouTube keeps things alive. Ace Rimmer on YouTube. You'll not be disappointed. Second of all, right? I'm all in. So you all know, and most of the listeners probably pick up, I would be quite AI heavy. So I work a lot with AI now creatively, and obviously ChatGPT's everywhere. So I'm not even joking. You two are very inspiring. Nick, just your coaching is going to be invaluable. I am going to give this everything for the 10 months. So much so, I have changed up my lifestyle considerably in the past 2 months. So on ChatGPT now, I track every single meal, every single thing I eat now. So I'm trying to, it breaks down my calories, my protein, my fats, everything. The carbs. So it's, I don't know what I'm tracking, but it's tracking it. And there's a tick if I'm doing good, and there's a non-tick if I'm not doing good.
You know what? I'm going to jump in, right?
Hey, go for it. Here we go.
I went over to Andrew's house, right? And he brought me in and he says, Colin, will you see what I've got? He brought out like handfuls of tablets.
Just no, they're handfuls of vitamins, because that's the second thing. I am now on vitamins, and you know what? They're right here, so that's good.
Andrew, show us your vitamins, Andrew. Show us your vitamin list.
That's vitamin D. If we live in Northern Ireland, we're meant to take, again, this was all research. There's vitamin D, omega-3. Okay. I take this every day now. So I got fish oil, but ChatGPT said it was not the right stuff, and I had to get omega-3. Magnesium and zinc for sleep. Ashwagandha, which I will take
that, surely.
Sorry?
You got an extra vitamin for sleep.
Yeah.
There'll be one for rest.
Because... Well, guess what? Because not only that, ChatGPT, I now track my sleep. I track my heart rate. What else do I track? I track my vitamins. Once a month, I track my blood pressure. And all this comes together, and it gives me a weekly plan of what I should be doing, if I'm doing good things or bad things. Guys, I am all in. I'm it's Ace Rimmer here. A speechless, right? There was a side. Don't cut that out, Colin. So someone talk.
Andrew, it's a good thing that you're starting off slow and you're not just jumping into everything.
All in.
It's a step. This is big. This is big steps in the right direction, though, isn't it? I mean, come on. We've gone from Andrew, the rest day pro, to a man on more supplements than David Goggins. I don't know.
You know, I'm not surprised though, because there was the podcast where we broke this news to you, Andrew, and on the podcast you were already saying to everybody, I'm all in. But then there's the podcast, and then there's what happens outside of the podcast. So we stopped recording, and just so the audience knows, Andrew's like, oh wow, I really like all in. I'm going to have to train, but I'm going to do it. He was like giving himself a live pep talk in front of me and Colin. And he was like, guys, I'm not going to mess around. This is happening. So I'm not surprised because you had, a very, how shall I call it? Transparent moment in front of us where it was like, I have to do this differently if I'm going to come through.
Sometimes I ring Andrew, and you know what? He's running.
I'm running. Can't talk now, Colin. I'm running. Not even watching YouTube when I'm running. Sometimes not even listening to a podcast or audio. I've got the beats on because it helps me. It helps me run.
What do you listen to, Andrew?
A lot. You know what I listen to? Right? This is no joke. I'm glad you brought it up. This is how all in I am. I listen to the Red Dwarf theme tune, the first thing I listen to on every run. The extended version, 2 minutes. If you YouTube it, you can get it. You can also get it on Spotify. So that's how I start I'm not joking, Colin. Every single run, Ace Rimmer Protocol, I am listening to the Red Dwarf theme tune. And you said rest days, Nick. I'm just going to go. That's the one. I'm even, before I even say what I was about to say, the outside world is an amazing place. At the minute running, there's colourfuls. It's called fall or autumn this season that we're running in. Not in a treadmill, out in the real world. It's a beautiful place out there, a beautiful place. But what I was about to say, I've had no rest days in the past month and a half. Now, there's days where I'm not running or going to the gym, but mentally, I'm running.
I love that. Now, as much as you're into marketing, Andrew, I'm curious too, because, we haven't gotten into this yet. I don't know to what extent we will on today's podcast, but we're going to be doing quite a lot to promote this run, right? Like we haven't really started promoting it yet, but I'm wondering, can we get Ace Rimmer on the podcast?
I've already looked into the actual actor to see if he's in cameo or something, if he could do as a message. But I think he's not too well just at the minute, and he's stopped all appearances, but he should be back by the end of this year.
I don't yet know Ace, but Ace, we're pulling for you.
That would be a dream come true.
So we started, though, by talking about accommodations, and then we did this zigzaggy thing all over the place that I will own. But,
Can I step in as well? Because I'm going to have to go soon, and I feel like accommodation is probably going to be your guys' kind of thing. And, I just do the running bit in between. But I just wanted to say, I have appeared fully branded with what we're going to call a bandana, because the other thing that it's called is, a trademark. But I have, and this is my first gift to you three, is each of you is going to be supplied with a unique running buff. No, don't say buff.
Oh, Nick, thank you so much.
No, so I had a few of these branded up with the logo, and it is one of those multi-purpose items that has to go on every ultra runner's kit list, and so that's just my first little gift to you guys.
That
awesome.
is so kind, Nick.
Thank
I should say your running logo will be on our official top, which is also very exciting, and we can't thank you enough for your encouragement and your pep talks and all you do for the podcast and for us, Nick. Really, really appreciate it.
No, absolute pleasure.
Just so the listeners understand, Nick's on the show, and Nick does more than just come onto the show. He's been with us from the start. He's given us tips. He got us through the NI 100, Andrew, and in between these episodes, I'm constantly texting Nick saying, what do you think? What do you think? And Andrew's meeting up with Nick the odd time. Nick, you're doing so much for us, and we don't take it for granted. And thank you so much for everything you're doing. And Andrew loves this snood. He puts it around his wrist because it makes him look cool.
I do. So people will be seeing that 5 times a week now around where I run.
Nick, before you go, also, good luck in New York. Nick's running the New York Marathon. That's only a couple weeks away.
I am indeed. So it's I'm just going to do a quick little plug for myself, if I can. Yeah, it's the Abbott Age Group World Championships. So, once you're over 40, and I'm in the 40 to 44 age category. This is the age group world championships, and I'm also being sponsored by Puma for this race as well. So big thanks to Puma, who have sent a lot of kit my way. There's 100 of us athletes that Puma are sponsoring, and so it's been a real privilege to almost experience what the elite athletes get. And so that's another really exciting thing that's happened to me for New York. So I'm not going to say too much now because I don't want to jinx myself, but it's a full send, all in. Keep showing up.
If you need any vitamin advice, you know who to go to, Nick.
Oh dear, right. No, I am going to have to go and put the kids to bed now. So I'll leave you guys to it.
Nick, thank you so much for taking the time to come on.
No probs. Have a good one, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
Now that Nick has left, just as when Andrew left, we spoke about him. I'm going to speak about Nick for just a moment. So he's done these unboxing videos. If you follow him on Instagram, you'll see this. There was one where he opened up a new pair of, you would call trainers. I might call them running shoes. And he said, I'm going to weigh these and see, how much they weigh. And I believe the shoes weighed 280 grams. And I remembered very distinctly thinking to myself, ooh, 280. I personally wouldn't do any over 278. That's my hats off to him. Good luck. Cause I'm hoping that those extra 2 grams aren't going to be a deal breaker.
No, I think he's going to be, that's like running around concrete, Matt. What's he doing?
I mean, the New York Marathon is, it's a tough marathon. It is all concrete. That's one aspect of it. A lot of bridges that you go over.
If we rewind back to where we were saying, so we're starting to chat about accommodation. We're chatting about the reason we're doing it. We haven't spoke about who we're raising money for yet, Matt. Do you want to jump into the charities that we're supporting and the awareness we're raising?
We have landed on 3, somewhat representative of, we'll say, the run itself, where we are from, and, obviously MS related causes. So I'll start by talking about the one that maybe I brought to the table, so to speak, which is MS Run the US. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, that is not the first time you've heard about this organization. I ran with them. They do a cross-country relay in the US, hence the name, and maybe a little bit inspiration for our name for this event, where they take 21 runners and run it as a relay. So I ran from Nebraska to Iowa, which is about 148 miles, 2 summers ago. And that organization funds research for people living with MS for a couple of different research grants. And then on top of that, they provide aid to people impacted with MS. And again, we'll get into this in other episodes, but many people are impacted by heat differently. So providing air conditioning for people whose MS is impacted by heat, or mobility assistance, so wheelchairs, things of that nature. And they also raise awareness. So that is one of the 3 charities that we are raising money for. And I'll turn it back over to you for the rest.
As you research everything, Matt, you know all your details and all your specifics about who you're raising for and everything. So previously I raised money for the MS Society UK, and they fund a lot in the research, and they have a centre in Belfast that works with the local community and helps out people there doing different types of, exercises and events. But this year I thought we would spread our wings, because we're running through Ireland, that we would allow people to, I suppose, donate to where it will help them and where they will see the benefits of it. So that's why we have gone with MS Ireland as well. So they have a lot of centres up through Ireland that we'll be running past, and I've already had meetings with 2 people from each organisation, and they are over the moon. They're looking forward to helping. And Matt, you came up with the figure that we want to raise for MS. Do you want to give us a thought behind your madness?
So this is a combined figure for the 3 charities?
Yeah, well, we don't do anything small, right? So we set a really high goal for ourselves of 100,000. Now, here's the catch. Based on where each of these charities resides, I'll say, you might be talking US dollars, Great British pounds, or euro. And so we'll take 100,000 of any of the three.
Sounds
right?
idiotic, Matt. When you put it that way.
I mean, to be clear, we are not saying we want 100,000 US dollars and 100,000 Great British pounds and 100,000 euros. We're saying, look, 100,000 of anything would be great. And, we'd love to distribute it across all three of those charities. At the same time, we don't want to mess with, we'll say, the financial logistics of divvying that out. So you'll see once we go live with our website, there will be the ability to donate to the charity of your choice. I won't get into it because I don't understand it, but there are tax implications for who you donate to.
It's not just as easy as having one pot, and then in the one pot it gets split three ways. That's what you're kind of saying, Matt, isn't it? There's a lot more tax and sending money across borders and all that business. So the three different links, really, that you can donate three different places.
You can donate evenly to each one if you wish to do so, which is another option. So if every single person donated evenly to each pot, then we would end up with a nice round figure. So what you're saying, Matt, is we are going to raise 100,000 US dollar pound euros.
Yeah. But, we have talked about, we couldn't say any currency because there are some currencies where the conversion skews quite differently to where if we were to accept 100,000, that might equal $7 US. We don't want to be so broad as to say 100,000 of anything. We do want to narrow it down to those three currencies. Not that that's a one-to-one conversion either, but, it is a lofty goal. Right. And to that point, yes, we obviously will encourage donations from individuals, but we're also going to be looking for sponsors of all different sizes and types. And we also recognize that not everybody is able to donate financially. And, that's okay. Like, we're looking for any kind of support we can get. And so support includes sharing what it is that we're doing, helping us with the raising awareness part. That's not just to help us raise money. That's to help people to understand as we get more into the story of like what MS is and how people are impacted, to help other people know. Because, I think Nick mentioned it for a very long time. It was multiple sclerosis. I don't know what that is. I just know it's scary and you end up in a wheelchair and maybe you die from it, which sounds really dramatic. Sadly, there are people that still, that's their level of understanding. And really, research has come a long way. Treatments have come a long way. While there's still no cure, we want to do what we can to raise awareness around what the disease is like for those impacted by it. Not just, Colin and I living with it, but the beauty, Andrew, of you being a part of this journey for us also is, I think of you as symbolic of how MS doesn't just impact the people who have it, but also the people in their lives who are indirectly impacted. We'll be looking for support in a variety of ways, which brings us back full circle to a full circle thing you were going to talk about, Colin. Accommodations, right? So we're looking for support for accommodations.
So accommodations, I've started reaching out and trying to find good accommodations along the route and people who may want to help us. Now, whether that is giving us room or discount prices, we're looking at people all across the route. And do you want me to get into the one that contacted me today?
No, I think so, because this is the first official, we've got somewhere, Colin. So this is big news, this is a big win, and it happened just today. And it was only a place you could get, really, if we're all being honest.
So bear with me 1 wee second, and I'll get the name exactly right. This place I came across, and I thought, wouldn't this be an interesting option? And now, it happened to us in Greece where Andrew, I always refer to the story, you and me are walking to a pastry shop, not to get a pastry, but to interview the guy who owns a pastry shop and the coffee shop. And
That's what you do in a running podcast. You know what I mean?
That's what you do. So I'm like, Andrew, and I've told Matt this before. I said, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know how this is going to work out. But either way, we're going to have a story out of it. The email went out and they got back to me. So it's a monastery, okay? Not only a monastery in the middle of Ireland. I think, is it near Limerick, Andrew? I think it is near Limerick. Glenstall Abbey. And they got back to me and they offered us 3 rooms and they put them aside for us. And it's like a castle, Andrew. It's like we're going to Hogwarts. It's like Hogwarts.
I went on it straight away. It's a castle. So we're staying with monks. We're staying with monks on the second or third night, Colin, was it?
It's on the 2nd, all being well, depending on our time, it'll be on the 2nd of July. So that's day 3 or 4, Matt, in their run.
Yeah, I think day 3.
Day 3.
So, and just for clarity, we are not running to the places that we are staying at. We will be tracking with GPS along our run, and then we'll be dropping a pin or something to that nature, to where then we will get a ride to our accommodations for the night. That was one of Colin's learnings, right, Colin? Last time attempting this.
Last time on our Mizen to Malin run, when you run from hotel to hotel, if it's a 2 mile off route, that's 4 mile in total. 2 mile off, 2 mile back on. And it doesn't work, Matt. It doesn't work. Yes, you end up with some brilliant stories. You see some brilliant places. You go off the beaten track and it's fun. Our mission is not that. Our mission is to get from Mizen to Malin back to your family, Matt. We're taking you home. It's like Frodo and Bilbo here, taking Matt, who's the ring, home.
I don't know how I feel about that one. Let's come back to that in a later episode, maybe. But yes, so we have our first accommodation confirmed, which is exciting. Now, when Colin sent this to me, I said, "Wait a minute, this is all too interesting because my sister happens to be. This is a Benedictine monastery with monks, right? So all men living here." My sister happens to be a Benedictine sister living in a convent here in the U.S. And I said, I've stayed at a Benedictine convent before. Not many people can say they've done that. And the Benedictine order being relatively niche, I'll say, maybe it's a fair way to say it. I texted my sister. I said, "Hey, check out where we're staying on our run." Colin was able to get this for us. And she said, "I just so happen to have met a priest from that very monastery last year." Crazy kind of full circle moment. It'll be really interesting and looks like a beautiful, beautiful place. By the way, if a monastery is anything like a convent, beautiful for rest because there's a lot of peace and quiet. I can't speak to what all of them are like. During the day, when I was at the convent where my sister is, and I've been to visit many times, there's no talking in between prayer.
That's going to be an issue because we hope to have a podcast every night, Matt. So that could be that could be an interesting episode. For
there are designated times of the day where it is allowed, but yeah, outside of that, typically there is not. So yeah. It'll be all part of the adventure, part of the story that we get to build together.
Yeah, and just to clear, people are probably thinking Matt's contacted this monastery and Colin's done this. Honestly, this was a complete coincidence, and it's just another thing with me and Matt, how we somehow end up just this thread linking us together. I walked away after that email with the biggest smile on my face, because this, we all say, running 350 miles, it nearly takes a back seat because it's the adventure that we're going to have together. It's the fun, it's the stories that's going to last a lifetime. And you know what? I'm getting Andrew running to a monastery, and I never thought to even say that. Andrew, how do you feel about this monastery?
Colin, we started the podcast. I've said many times, I never wanted to run a marathon, and here I am, staying with monks, running the length of the country. You couldn't make it up. Like it's just the things we've went through, the people we've met, and the story. It's just incredible, Colin. And we're so thankful because we don't know many people in Ireland, or we don't know many people on that route. So like we are looking for all kinds of help, and in any way, if you're listening or watching, if you can help us, as Matt said, big or small, monetary or other ways, we would just be so appreciative of it, because well, you know our story, you know what we're doing it for, so any help would be gladly welcome. It really would.
So I think that's a great spot to wrap. Final thoughts from either of you before we close?
There is a fundraising aspect to it as well. Andrew charges £5 for a high five, so and that all goes into the pot. So one high five.
Well, that's good news, because Nick, I high-fived you twice in the past 2 years, so you owe us a tenner. So we've got our first tenner.
Whether he knew it or not.
Whether he knew it or not, it was all a scam, all from day one. One day, this will be
You're
worth
playing the
£5.
long game. All right. Well, guys, we've got some interesting stuff coming up this season, too. We're going to be tracking our journey, and as we learn more about what's happening, we're going to be sharing with our audience. But Colin, we've got some expert episodes also, right?
Yeah, well, this year, I know we're wrapping up. I'll not harp on too long, Matt. They're not guest episodes anymore. They're expert episodes. What's an expert? An expert is anybody who's ran further than Andrew. Runs more than Andrew, not ran further.
Not many episodes in that podcast there, Colin.
We're bringing people on, and it's a harp back to Nick Weston. What worked in that season with Nick was they're giving us that 1% more information to get us that 1% further. And like, I've had a few episodes already, and the guys are brilliant. The guys are experienced. The guys know what they're talking about, and they're fun. They're experts.
Next one of them.
Oh, yeah. Of course, next one of them. So you'll see Nick on the show, and you'll see Nick on our episodes. And Matt, they'll be launching in the new year when our training really hits the ground, when our training really gets going. Until then, you've got us.
Well, that's going to do it for today. So I'm Matt.
I'm Andrew.
I'm doing the Wibbly.
And we'll see you next time on Idiots
Go
Running.
Good old Ace Rimmer.
I'm impressed. Andrew, the ace rimmer, on so many supplements, if you shook him, he'd rattle. Meanwhile, Matt's, well, brushing up on the local language. Are the lads actually training right? Or are they just winging it, like everything else? Find out on the next episode of Idiots Go Running! Because apparently, enlightenment, caffeine, and creatine all go hand in hand.